Howdy, who all my stock market gamblers? Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. Well, what's going on with the markets? The markets are still trying to make new highs. We're still in the crack up boom, right? We've been straight up since last October. Never bet against the trend. Very rarely do I ever place a bet against the trend. The trend is higher. What is the trend? The trend, I use the 20-day moving average. As long as we stay above that, we're going higher, right? And so we break below that, that's now resistance, and then we're going lower. We've only broken below the 20-day one time since October, right? So what you can do is you can play a channel in the trend. When you get too far away from the 20-day, you take profits, wait for it to pull back to the 20-day, buy it again, take profits when you get too far away. But so far, that 20-day moving average has been holding up on the way up. Now, I do think this is coming to an end. I think there's a lot of complacency in this market. I think the market has really come down to one stock. We all know what that is. That's NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA became the most valuable stock, overtook Microsoft, had a little pullback. Now it's just below Microsoft, but it's up there with the $3 trillion stocks, right? You got Apple, you got Microsoft, and you got NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is trying to pull higher. If NVIDIA goes higher, the market's going higher. But when NVIDIA starts to give it back, you can just watch NVIDIA, watch that to see even a 10-day moving average on that. Once it starts breaking down, that's going to pull the whole market down with it. Everybody's playing just one stock. Everybody's very complacent. We're in the summertime. People are on vacation. They put all their money in NVIDIA and went to Hawaii, and when they come back, they expect to be rich. We'll see if that works out for them. All right, let's get over to, well, the real estate and the banking system. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the banking system. Now, the banking system was brought down in 2007, 2008 by real estate, right? Real estate brought the banking system down, and the banking system needed to be bailed out. Now, I would argue that this time, the banking system is going to bring down your real estate. Now, that's just my take. That's how I think it's going to play out. I think the banking system is going to pull everything down with it. Now, we've had a couple of banking problems now. We had one in Japan. I can't say the name, Norichuken. Anyways, that bank, they're in trouble, right? They were going to hold all the bonds to maturity, right? So they bought a lot of the United States bonds. But as they raised rates, those bonds have lost 30, 40%, and now people want their money back. They can't hold them to maturity. They have to now dump them onto the market to give people their money back. But that's a bank that's in trouble. But Mike, that's in Japan. Why do I care about Japan? You see, all these banks are intertwined. You can't get away from it. I mean, you are intertwined together with every bank out there. There's really just one bank, and that's the Bank of International Settlement. And they're all intertwined together based on the Bank of International Settlement. You can Google that. That's BIS.org. You can study up on it. But there's comes down to one bank that really intertwines all the other banks together. Okay, so we got a problem, right? We got a problem because this bank's in trouble in Japan. Now, it might not be that big. I don't know the exact size, but they're all intertwined, and I'm sure they're going to figure a way to get this bailed out. But you see, that's not the only bank that's in trouble right now. Okay, well, this is a shadow bank. There's things that they act like banks, but they're not really banks. Okay, so Synapse, SYNAPSE, they filed Chapter 11. Now, what are they? Are they a bank? No, they have partnerships with banks, right? They have all these partnerships with these major banks, and they act like they're FDIC insured when they're really not FDIC insured. But Mike, why do we care about this little shadow bank? Well, because it's all intertwined together. You see, what this shadow bank does is they're the go-between between the big banks, Chase, the Bank of America, the Wells Fargo, the Citigroups, and all the other banks with the fintech companies, right? FinTech, I guess it is. Financial technology companies. When you hear the word fintech. That's all it means. They try to confuse you with these words, but fintech is just financial technology companies. Now, what would one of these companies be? What would it look like? Okay, some of you have what's known as a Stripe account. Now, Stripe is a way to take payments over the internet for people that run small businesses. They can get a Stripe account and the money goes into the Stripe account and they'll deposit it right into your bank. And in between is this company called Synapse, or however you pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce all these companies. But anyways, they're the in-between. They're the intermediary. They filed Chapter 11. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because they have missing money. So they've frozen accounts. Now, maybe you have an account with one of these fintech companies and your account's frozen. You no longer do business with them. The account's locked up. It's frozen, right? And there's tens of thousands of these accounts that are now frozen. You see, this is a problem with the banking system. The banking system is getting more and more elaborate. You go from the main banks, FDIC insured. Synapse says they're partners with them, so they look like they're FDIC insured. And Stripe, no way are they FDIC insured. But anyways, you get the point. There's layers to this stuff, and it's all intertwined, and it's going to come crashing down. Now, there's a problem now with a lot of the banking system. Well, first of all, the problem is that none of the banks are solvent. None of them. They're all underwater. But the beauty of the banking system, they do not have to mark their assets down. They can keep them up here at full value. They don't have to mark them to market is what it's called. You see, for example, they bought a lot of bonds, right? A lot of 30-year, 20-year, 10-year bonds. And they're locked in, and these bonds have gone down, right? As rates went up, 0% to 5%, these bonds have lost 20, 30, 40% of their value. So they're all underwater, but they got this great plan. Don't worry about it. They've got a plan. Plan's good, right? Well, their plan is to hold them to maturity, to hold them for 30 years, right? And then they'll get their money back. And so they're technically not underwater, and technically they don't have to mark them down to the market. So technically they're still telling you that their bank is solvent. They're still telling you that they have the money that you deposited into their bank. They do not have your money. If there's a run on the bank, they would have to sell these bonds. And that's what they're catching on. They're going, we're in big trouble here, and we see it. We see it coming. FDIC, they know they're in trouble because they got to bail out all these banks. Now, they can bail out one bank. Maybe they can bail out two banks. But when 100 of them start falling over altogether, no way does the FDIC have the money to bail them out. So these banks are going, we can't hold these bonds that long. We got to get our money back. So some of these banks, they're starting to dump the bonds onto the market to raise cash. Well, what good does that do? You see, they got to make up for the loss, right? They got to make up for the loss. So what do? They take the cash and they go to the casino. Now, I'm not talking about the casino in Vegas. No, they play in the financial market. They listen to that roaring kitty and they put some in GameStop, right? They listen to all the meme stocks and get out there and they invest in those. They get into the cryptos, right? But they don't just play the big daddy Bitcoin. They'll play Ethereum. They'll play Dogecoin. They'll play Shiba Inu. They got to catch up, right? They got to get their money back. They've lost 40% of your money. They're now worried, so they got a plan. We're going to sell some of it off, and that way we'll take that money and go gambling with it, and maybe we'll win, and then we got their money back, and nobody will know the difference. Well, that's a great plan if they win, right? Gambling's fun when you win, but when you lose, it's not so fun, and pretty soon this is going to get exposed. And it's not just the banks, right? It's the pension companies. It's the insurance companies. It's all these different companies, right? And they're all doing the same thing because they're all underfunded. We can talk about the pensions. We're talking about $5 trillion. $5 trillion, Tom Mike, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. And that's how much the pensions are underfunded. Now, what the pensions are doing, same thing as the banks. They're raising up some cash, going and gambling it, trying to get your money back, trying to get the money so that you can get your pension back. You look, if you're going to be lucky to get 40% of your pension, you think you're going to get 100%, but you'll be lucky you get 40%. Some will only be 20%, and some will be wiped out completely. But Mike, the federal government will bail out all those pensions. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, right? That's a moral issue, right? Let's say you have a pension, but I don't have a pension. Why am I paying for your retirement? You're not paying for my retirement. I don't want to pay for your retirement. I don't want to bail them out. So when this comes public, there's going to be a little social unrest that goes along with it, because not everybody wants to bail out your pension so you can have a good retirement when we're still out there working and paying and paying and paying for all these bailouts. And there's going to be a lot of bailouts. Now, what else are banks doing? Some banks have gotten, well, they got a little different approach to it, right? They go, we can't sell the bonds. They're so far underwater. So maybe we can borrow money against the bonds, keep the bonds, take that money and go gamble and just do the same thing I was talking about, right? But they're going to have a cash flow problem. They're going to have a big problem, but they're trying to recover. And that's what this bank in Japan's doing right now. They have to sell to raise the cash. They didn't have a way to get the cash, but the other banks are starting to see the writing on the wall. As soon as people want their money, they don't have your money anymore. So they're just thinking, well, we're going to get ahead of this. We're going to borrow against the bonds. We'll sell some of them, but we're going to raise some cash and then we're going to go gambling. This is not going to end well. I'm telling you, it's just not going to end well. A lot of people think this is going to be great. You know, everything's going to be okay. Listen to mainstream media. Listen to like the housing people, man. They telling you house is going to double from here. Dave Ramsey, get out there. Never been a better time to buy. Oh, talk about never. I listen to Janet Yellen. I shouldn't listen to her. I mean, it just drives me crazy. I think she's a little senile. That's just my opinion. But anyway, she's talking about how we're in a really good position in the United States because we have $35 trillion of debt. That's a really good position because it's so manageable for us. And it's just like a hockey stick going straight up. But she says that's really good. Really? Look, you bring in maybe what, 4 trillion in taxes and you got 35 trillion in debt. It's going to be 10 times what you're bringing in. That is not a good position in any way, shape, or form. But if you listen to Janet Yellen, we're really lucky because we're in such a great position. I just get upset, you know, some of this stuff. And that's why I have this channel. You can't talk about this with other people, but on my channel, me and you, we can talk about this stuff. But this is not going to end well, right? Now, look, it's estimated that in 10 years, I don't think we have 10 years left, but we're going to go from 35 trillion to over 100 trillion in debt in the next 10 years. That's what the experts are saying. I think it's going to happen a lot quicker than that. I don't think we have 10 years left at this point. I think we have 3. Some people say we have 5. I'm going with 3 where this thing blows up. Why is it going to blow up, Tall Mike? Well, because our interest payment's going to be higher than all the taxes we bring in. But Mike, we can just print money. And that's my point. We're going to just print money and we're going to be up there over $100 trillion. Now, if you think your house is going to be doing well, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. This, go out and buy a house right now, man. There are bargains out there. Bargains everywhere. I just sold one 2.6 million, 1,200 square feet. Very excited about that. But anyways, you know, they're bargains, man. Get out there and buy one of these. You can want to be a bag holder. Look, the banking system is going to bring this tumbling down. That's just the way it is. But as that debt starts to increase up to 100 trillion, you're going to see inflation come roaring back. Now, they're very excited by government numbers. I don't know, we were up at 9 and now we're at 3.5. And the government's very excited about that, right? Because we're coming down. Look, prices aren't coming down. Prices are still going up. They're going up at a rate of 3.5%. And that's the government take. I'll tell you, it's still up there over 9%. But if you get that debt going to $100 trillion, that inflation's going to take off. Yeah, maybe it comes down by their terms. Maybe they're going to declare victory soon. Maybe they've already declared victory. But I guarantee you it comes in waves. And we've only had wave 1 that took it to 9%. The next one will take it to 15 or 20%. And then it'll take it even farther on the next one. This is just my take, though. Your take could be completely different. You can listen to the mainstream media and they will tell you that this is all fine and dandy and everything's going to be okay. But I tell you, the banking system really makes me nervous, man. I'm telling you, it's going to come tumbling down, and it's going to bring the real estate prices down with it. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need the big crash to happen so we can start over, so we can rebuild. We'll see how it plays out, but it's going to play out over time. I don't think we have much time. I think 3 to 5 years is about all the time we really have left. And if you think we have longer, leave me a comment. I love the comments, especially from those moon boys. Those moon boys, they're just riding that Bitcoin. Get up to the top. Now, people think I hate Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the best gambling thing we've invented. I mean, this thing will move 80% up and down. Now, would I be a hodler with those diamond hands? No, I'm not a hodler, but I do play it. I love it. I bet it both directions. It's wonderful. So those people that think I hate Bitcoin, I really don't. But Bitcoin's like a cult, though, right? I mean, you can't say anything bad about Bitcoin. I mean, I'm sure I'll get comments on this just for talking about people. That's their religion, man. They just love that stuff. Anyways, get out there, everybody. Have a great day. Give me the thumbs up first. Punch the subscribe button. I'm Tall Mike. Bye-bye now.